Up next, we're going to take a look at Stormgate, the highly anticipated real-time strategy game from Frost Giant. Then our resident RTS addict is going to sit down with some of the game developers to ask the hard-hitting questions like, when can we play this already?
We know. 2023. I imagine this is going to basically be what you found out from the previous Summer Game Fest. I don't think they're going to give you any new information here. At least Warcraft 3 got a mention.
2 years ago, our team assembled with a shared vision to build a brand new real-time strategy game. Together, we've been fortunate to work on some of the greatest RTS games of all time, and now we have a chance to do it again by creating the next evolution of that legacy. Today, we are so excited to share a first glimpse of Stormgate, an exclusive sneak peek into the universe and game that we've been creating for you. Stormgate takes place in an all-new post-apocalyptic setting where science fiction and fantasy collide. Our story begins hundreds of years in Earth's future, following the near extinction of humanity. This great calamity was caused by the Infernal Host, a playable alien race of demonic invaders that are hell-bent on claiming this planet as their own. With our story, we are creating an ever-expanding game universe, told through an ongoing series of campaign missions that you can play solo or cooperatively. New chapters will come out regularly, along with new units, maps, modes, and plenty of other surprises. In addition to campaign missions, we're building a world-class competitive experience with grassroots and professional tournaments accessible from directly within the game. There will be different leagues suitable for all levels of experience. In our new 3-player co-op versus AI mode, you'll level up your heroes, collect rewards, and customize your forces to open up new styles of gameplay and long-term variety.
You got excited about that. So customize your forces, huh?
Stormgate will be free to play, but not pay to win, and there will be no NFTs. Beta testing starts next year, and you can sign up now to reserve your place in line at playstormgate.com.
Good for them, but it's so sad when you have to say no NFTs.
You might happen to know that I'm a huge fan of real-time strategy games. StarCraft is my favorite game. I played it for 25 years. I still play it, and that's why I am so thrilled today to be talking to Frost Giant Studios. They're a group of amazing developers who have worked on literally my favorite games of all time. And we're here to talk about their brand new, free-to-play, real-time strategy game set in a post-apocalyptic Earth. It's Stormgate. And here to talk about it is the CEO and production director at Frost Giant, Tim Morton. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I want to know about the world. I want to know about the game. Tell us, what is Stormgate?
All right, this is our first game as a new studio. And
just cut that.
It is classic real-time strategy, but designed to be more social.
Just drop the hair. When it gets that bad, just drop it.
A universe that ties everything together,
Definitely.
but provide different kinds of experiences for players who like different kinds of gameplay. So we've got cooperative campaign mode, also play open-ended co-op, but if you're somebody who really enjoys competition, we've got
balanced hero survival,
high skill competitive, and those
Stormgate
are very different ways to play in some ways, but they're also all unified by the universe, by the races, by the units. So you really get a sense for how to enjoy the game.
And I'm curious a little bit about that core gameplay, because obviously in all these modes you're going to be collecting money, building bases, building units, and so on. And I know that for you, the game feeling really good and really smooth to play is super important. Now, obviously, I come from a time where if the pathfinding is bad, we call that high skill opportunity.
Yes.
But I mean, how do you think about getting the controls, the motions, just the feel of the game to feel good in 2022?
Yeah, it's interesting that RTS is one of the only genres I can think of where you have to have hundreds, even thousands of
units. I think
units
StarCraft 2 still holds up graphically
over the
quite well.
network and responsive in a way that high skill, like pro esports players feel good about playing the game. That's not easy. It does require custom technology. There's no engine that you buy off the shelf that does that for you. So we definitely started knowing that and having the benefit of our chief architect, James Anhalt, who did that work previously on StarCraft 2. So we've put a lot of effort into that for sure.
Where's the Warcraft 3 footage?
This is going to be one of the first major RTSs people are aware of that is on Unreal Engine 5. What is it like working in this next generation engine?
It's pretty incredible how far things have come from a graphics perspective, and I think the art team is unlocked in so many ways by what Unreal provides. So we're very excited. We're still learning everything that Unreal can do for us. But even that first cinematic that we debuted, like that's done in Unreal. So the high quality graphics that you're seeing are actually coming from Unreal as an engine.
So you've talked a little bit about, for new players, making the game feel a little more approachable, a little bit more streamlined, but obviously, StarCraft, real-time strategy, has this astonishingly long history as a competitive game, as an esport. And I'm curious, how is your team going to approach that?
So a lot of the emphasis around our thinking has been focused on what are things that we can add, especially around the gameplay experience. And one of those things is more seamless integration with esports. I mean, being able to sign up, participate in tournaments directly from the client in a way that gives players, even if you're not like top grandmaster, ready to take on Cyril, there's still an opportunity to be the best on your block or the best at your company or the best at your school. So we want to facilitate esports all the way from grassroots level up to the pro level directly in the client.
So, of course, in the history of RTS games, a really important component of them has always been mods. I mean, Warcraft 3, there's players that didn't even play the original game. They just did custom mode after custom mode. Does Stormgate have modding? How are you thinking about the modding community?
A number of members of the Frost Giant team actually came out of the modding community. The team as a whole is very passionate about it. From the outset,
custom
we
games
started
just ain't as good as
out
Warcraft
applying
3.
resources to build a custom editor. I
They just
think
don't
there's
have
a lot of
the feel.
opportunity
That's
to
the
make
thing I had.
improvements to
I
the
think there's
editing
impressive
experience for
stuff you can do
RTS.
with it. Don't
We
get me
are
wrong. Like, look at that, it's
also
incredible.
working on the infrastructure for people to be able to share
it
their
doesn't quite
mods
have that
with each
feel
other.
that
So
Warcraft 3 has.
It's really core to us as a team.
I may be biased,
modding,
but
and we're absolutely
that's
working
how I felt when I
Of
did
course,
used to play
we have
StarCraft
to
2
end with
custom
my
games.
favorite question of all. When can we play
When it
the game
originally
and
came
how do
out.
we play it, Tim?
So we are going to start our beta in 2023. We already have a site stood up at playstormgate.com to be able to register for the beta. We have a lot of active discussion topics.
I think
on
the
our
cinematics are
subreddit
done
as
in
well,
game
so
or
there's an
something. Because you like look at the way
opportunity to
that
participate in the
mech
dialogue
moves. It's
around
very
what we're building.
Tim, thank you
odd,
so much for
uncanny.
joining us again today. We just
Just
got a
doesn't
chance
look
to talk
fleshed
about
out.
Stormgate, the upcoming free-to-play RTS from Frost Giant Studios. I'm personally super pumped to play it, and be sure to check it out at playstormgate.com. Now, Tim, I'm going to do a transition to the next game. Are you ready? This is going to be good. Watch this. It's going to be so sick. Next, we're going to show you Leysara, Summit
They actually had
Kingdom's
Tim
quite
with him,
okay
though.
games. Now, as
This is
someone
the
who
only
has
guy
spent
they
an
actually had in the
advisable
studio,
amount of
otherwise
time
he always
playing strategy
interviewed other
games of all
people.
sorts, this looks incredibly up my
Outside the
alley.
studio.
And it looks a lot safer than my last attempt to create society in the mountains. 2 words, Tim, yodeling accident. Let's check it out.
All right. So, gotta say, obviously, I'm not like massively hyped. I think the main reason for me not being massively hyped is that the game is obviously very heavily leaning towards StarCraft more than it is Warcraft. Now, you could just say, oh, that's just because they're showing that, but everything people were saying in the tweets originally when they were like, oh, they got the preview. I didn't get to see the preview. It was always like StarCraft was being mentioned. I made a tweet about that. Basically, when they showed it at the Summer Game Fest, it was like, oh, I see Diablo, I see StarCraft. The closest I could get to Warcraft was the shield. That's what I was kind of gleaming onto, like the guy that looked like a knight holding the shield, but it wasn't quite as much as the Diablo or the StarCraft influence. And here it's just like nothing but StarCraft references there all the way through. I think gameplay-wise, we haven't seen anything. A lot can change. We don't know. I'm concerned that they're not going to focus that much on heroes because obviously StarCraft didn't have heroes in it. It did for the campaign, but not really for the melee aspect. So I feel like heroes are going to take a wayside, whereas they're a massive part of Heroes Warcraft 3, which is really important. And for me personally, I think heroes are massive. They get you invested in the character. They get you invested in the gameplay, like League of Legends, Dota 2. Imagine if you didn't actually control heroes in that. You just had a unit that had like 4 base abilities and they never leveled up or anything like that. You didn't like improve them or whatever through like items, etc. It was just flat. It would just be like Heroes of the Storm kind of gameplay, like in that sense. At least Heroes of the Storm had like talents and stuff, but you know what I mean? It's like there's a flatness to like the heroes that I think they might try to put into that game, whereas the heroes in Warcraft 3 have so much more personality with the stats and the improvements, the attributes, etc. The agility versus strength versus intelligence. So I like sci-fi because I enjoyed StarCraft 2. I had a great time with StarCraft 2. Like, it's a good game. I like StarCraft 2. I like Warcraft 3 more, which is why I play that instead of StarCraft 2. But I still liked StarCraft 2. Very fun game to play. But I just feel like they're obviously going down that road, and I'm not that interested in that kind of play style. But we don't know exactly how the game's going to play. It's not necessarily going to be exactly like StarCraft 2. It could be more of a blend of StarCraft 2 meets Warcraft 3, but I still think it's going to be way more leaning towards StarCraft. The biggest hope for me with Stormgate are the custom games. That's where I think I might have a place there. Because otherwise, I don't know. The co-op versus AI is always interesting to me. I had fun doing that in the Crossfire. But I think the custom games is where it's at, because then you can sort of edit heroes and make sort of worlds and universes that might sort of do what the melee game is not going to do. That's kind of where I stand, because I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, where do you stand now after you've seen sort of like, some footage here and there. You've listened to the interviews. That's kind of where I am. We've still got a year to go. Stuff can change. Could go in the right direction. It might go further in the other direction. I haven't got a problem with StarCraft. I just much more prefer Warcraft 3. So the further it goes away from Warcraft 3 and leans more towards StarCraft, the less I'm really going to be infused about the product. That's where I'm from. You let me know where you're from. Obviously, probably more Warcraft 3, since this is where you'll be watching it from. All right, there you go. That's some more Stormgate news from the PC Gaming Show 2022.